I'd like to take a moment and thank today's sponsor, Hagyard Pharmacy. If your horse is struggling from ulcers from time to time, they've got some good news for you. RelyneGI by Hagyard has a new and improved formula, and scientific studies show that it definitely improves gut health. So what's new about RelyneGI is made with a new beta-glucan that stimulates the immune system to work on targeted areas of horse's stomach. Plus, there's also a new price that can save you nearly $100 a gallon. Visit resolvet.com, RESOLVET.com, to learn more about the new RelyneGI. A link will be in the description of this video. Would you say that majority of performance horses have a problem with gastric ulcers?
So gastric ulcers are probably the number one thing that affects horses in general. Race horses are almost 90% of race horses have gastric ulcers from one degree or another. Sport horses are around 70%. Competition quarter horses are around 40%. So it really varies by discipline. Geography also plays a part in it as far as...
And genes.
And genes, for sure.
Yeah.
But thoroughbreds are the number one breed that is most affected by gastric ulcers.
So here we are on a beautiful Sunday afternoon here at Calib Sales Company, where 2-year-old sale is about to come off here on Tuesday, with maybe the most expensive probable champions that will be for the next year coming out here through 136 different consigners, bringing horses to the public to be able to bid on, which is kind of fun on there. But really, you know, we're here with a new product, and we're excited to introduce this new product because it's the excitement of trying to bring to our audience all the different things that are helpful in the industry. And we're talking about horses, not just thoroughbred racehorses. Of course, we talk about thoroughbred racehorses, but this works for all horses. So I want to introduce Mark White, who is the manager of the brand for Reline, made by Hagyard Pharmacy. Introduce yourself.
Thank you very much, Dean, Randy. I really appreciate you guys having me here on the show. As he said, my name is Mark White. I'm the brand manager for ResolveVet, a supplement line developed by Hagyard's veterinarians in Lexington, Kentucky. All of our products were developed by our veterinarians specifically, and they work for what they were designed for.
Yeah, so let's talk about that, because that's the biggest part about what are they designed to do.
Right. And there's so much stuff out there that people will slap a sticker on it and say, this fills this void and this will do this.
We see it.
Yeah. And I mean, most of our products were developed by our internal medicine specialist, Nathan Slovis, who's a world-renowned veterinarian. I mean, the guy sleeps like 3 hours a night and is sending me emails at 2 a.m. And
we'd answer those emails, by the way, because that's about our thing, too.
Exactly. But he developed things specifically for something in mind, from his probiotics to his diarrhea gel. And the most successful product to ever come from Dr. Slovis was RelyneGI, which is our gastric support product, supports the entire GI tract. And I had the privilege of reformulating it and making it more efficacious than ever before.
So would you say that majority of performance horses have a problem with gastric ulcers?
So gastric ulcers are probably the number one thing that affects horses in general. Race horses are almost 90% of race horses have gastric ulcers from one degree or another. Sport horses are around 70%. competition quarter horses are around 40%. So it really varies by discipline. Geography also plays a part in it as far as
genes.
And genes, for sure.
Yeah.
But thoroughbreds are the number one breed that is most affected by gastric ulcers.
Randy and I have been trying to bring this across for a long time, but having you here with the product is really going to kind of solidify what we do with our horses there. So let's say, how'd you test this?
So initially, Dr. Slovis came up with the formulation, and he was looking at horses which were non-responders to traditional medication therapies. Mm-hmm. So omeprazole, rididine, misoprostol, after treating them for 30 days, no response. He actually went to high-weight hyaluronic acid, and this was back in 2015.
Yeah.
And they saw some protective and benefit to it. And then they added the beta-glucan, which has an immune-boosting response.
What is that?
So beta-glucans essentially are long glucose molecules, and they're found in the cell wall of funguses, bacteria, plants, and cereal grains. So they do different things when they're from different sources. The stuff from the cereal grains acts more like a fiber. So it can help lower cholesterol, work for some digestive issues. The fungal and bacterial create an immune response where, if you think about it, they're recognized as kind of a foreign invader.
Yeah.
So it's just the long skeletal part, and when it comes in contact with the sores, then the immune system is triggered to come in and react to it.
And so we're saying this is the healing vehicle for the ulcers.
So essentially, yes. Looking at how the product or the beta-glucans respond to dermal wound healing tissue, if you put it on an open sore, then the macrophages, the T cells, come in and act. They initiate a cleanup process, and collagen formation is activated, and the body starts self-repairing itself. So beta-glucans are immune to gastric pH. So when we ingest it, anywhere it comes in contact with where there's a sore, it works like a wound gel, the same as it would on an open sore. But that's what initiates the healing response itself.
And of course, we know when the gut's good, we get all the nutrition we need to get as long as we're feeding it.
Sure. And I mean, that's the other thing, is that the product does not affect gastric pH. So all the other pharmacological treatments and many of the supplements work as a buffer, which, so 0 or 1 being extremely acidic, 7 being water. So after administering omeprazole, 4 mg per kg, 3 days, your pH raises from around 3 in a horse to a 7. So number 1, you're not digesting your food to the fullest extent. Number 2, you're not killing the bacteria and any pathogens that are present in the food. So ours doesn't have any of those reactions.
Wow, that's pretty good. So now, I asked you how did we test it? What are our results from a test? Tell us about that.
So when Dr. Slovis was looking at the formulation, 90% of the horses either completely healed or significantly improved in 30 days. And that is what actually launched the product. The history of the timeline: when Dr. Slovis launched the product, the beta-glucan was a fungal beta-glucan called schizophylline commune. So COVID killed our sourcing of that product, and a yeast-based beta-glucan was chosen as the replacement. It's the same molecular chain, produces a similar immune response, but it wasn't as good as the original product. So when I was hired, I looked at sourcing, talked to some of the world's foremost experts, and they pointed me to a group in South Korea by the name of Cugin Bioscience, who produced a pharmacological beta-glucan for use in inflammatory bowel disease and cancer treatment. And we tested it on field trials in comparison to a couple other different beta-glucans. The results were pretty phenomenal in 28 days. Most of the horses were healed.
28 days?
Yes.
Wow. That's pretty powerful.
That's huge, yep.
So when we were looking at squamous ulcers in the field trial, that was what we saw. And, I mean, there's some pretty deep ulcers, and squamous ulcers are what affects thoroughbreds for the most part. So if you're looking at warm bloods, primarily they're dealing with pyloric or glandular ulcers. Those are slower to respond. But we saw very quick results, and we started a field trial. It's not 100%, but we're right around the 90% range where horses, I mean, either they're completely healed or there's a really strong improvement where they went from maybe a grade 3 to a grade 1 ulcer.
In 28 days, which is nothing. I mean,
so
it's just easy to handle.
And we needed real scientific evidence to prove that the product was efficacious. So Dr. Frank Andrews is the foremost gastric specialist in the U.S. He's written, I think, 5 textbooks on the subject, has a couple hundred papers published on it.
Yeah.
And he did all the original research on Gastricard. So we went to him and asked him to do a double-blind study for us. So he came up with a stress-induced fasting model, RelyneGI versus a placebo. And we had 2 groups of 6 horses. And he scoped them prior to starting the study, graded everybody and grouped them. And then 14 days, 21 days, 28 days. At 28 days, the fasting model started. So it was 24 hours of fasting followed by 24 hours of hay. So during a week's period of time, there was 96 hours of fasting. And what that does is horses constantly produce gastric acid. So a horse will produce 60 liters of gastric acid a day.
Wow.
Really?
We produce around 3.
Really?
Wow.
And so they're constantly pumping out gastric acid, and hay chewing produces saliva, which is their natural gastric buffer.
All right.
You take all that away, and there's just nothing but acid that's constantly being pumped out in their stomach. So it was used to increase ulcers and stress, and what we showed was in squamous ulcers, the top portion of the stomach, we healed the ulcers in 28 days, and they maintained a clean stomach all the way through. For the squamous, we did have a little spike in the glandular on day 35 on one of the RelyneGI horses. Otherwise, it would have been almost a perfect.
100%.
Yeah.
But nothing is 100%.
No,
so,
no.
I mean,
If we can get 10%, we'd be happy and improvement, because that's what it's all about, is trying to get things better and better and better.
So these results were very significant. I mean, we could show a statistical significance between us and the placebo, so much so the results will be a peer-reviewed published study. They've been submitted to the International Colic Symposium in Scotland this July, which is the foremost. It happens every 3 years. So for equine veterinary medicine, it's the cream of the crop, and it will be presented at the AAP convention in Florida this December. So we love it.
So I'm going to ask you all the questions that I think our viewers probably are going to want to know. Okay, is how do we feed it? Where do we get it? This is a supplement, feed supplement.
Yep.
And, where do we get it? And, will it work on my horse? Is going to be their questions.
So it is completely safe. There's no prohibited substances. It's very palatable. You can top dress it on food. Horses eat it great. If you have a super finicky eater, put it in a syringe and squirt it
dose
down
it.
there. Yeah.
So how much do you feed a day?
So 1 ounce 2 times a day is what I recommend for thoroughbreds.
Well, that's not much. 1 little ounce.
Yeah.
That's pretty.
No.
Pretty
So
easy to
it's
do.
actually $3.05 a day.
That's
So we have it.
10% of the other products.
So it's one of those things that really, everybody fits in this whatever model. So we have it as 1 ounce twice a day for an initial loading dose, a maintenance dose of half an ounce twice a day. I don't recommend that for thoroughbreds just because of the stress of the horse.
Yeah.
I think that works well for if your horse had ulcers and he's a backyard horse who doesn't really do anything. I think that works well for many of them. We looked at some quarter horse futurities when we were evaluating the low end, and they did really well on that. But the thoroughbreds and just the energy and stress that they're under, I would do that. And if a horse is really severe, even go up to maybe 1.5 ounces twice a day, or even 1 ounce 3 times a day. So if you think about it like a wound gel coming in, like if you're putting Neosporin on a wound,
Right.
more times a day, more contact time will get you better
Faster
results.
healing.
I was going to ask that question because we're big on feeding more than twice a day.
Sure.
3 or 4 times a day, and sometimes even more than that on that. So would you just split the 2 ounces half,
Sure.
half 4 times?
I mean, there's no wrong way to do it.
Can't overdo it.
No, and I mean, there's nothing in there that's going to cause an issue with the horses. It's hyaluronic acid, beta-glucan, xanthan gum,
Right.
salt, and citric acid for flavoring.
I see you got some samples of what we got there. Kind of looks scary, but
So
we can,
these are, I wanted to show the difference between beta-glucans. Because of our product success, there are copycats that have claimed Dr. Nathan Slovis on their website and this and that.
Right.
But there is a huge difference between what you get. So if your camera can see our beta-glucan here, I mean, it looks like cotton candy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it is large, intact molecules. It's completely water soluble, and the water solubility is necessary for a couple different things. I mean, number one, hyaluronic acid and beta-glucan, if they're in a powdered form, will steal water from everywhere. They'll absorb over 1,000 times their body weight in water. So if you put that in, it's going to pull water from everything else, and you'll still have the powder that passes through and doesn't
Still
really
need
do
water.
anything. Still needs the water. So in order for it to really do its job, it also gets in our lymphatic system and increases our immune system throughout our entire body. To go through the mTOR pathway, it needs to be in its watered form.
Yeah.
But some of the other beta-glucans, this one is a very good, very expensive one from Eastern Europe. But
It's like salt.
yeah, it's good, but it's nothing like what ours is. And then you get the Chinese
Real salt.
Yeah.
Version of it. Chinese version of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
20 cents a day.
So, I mean, that one is $1,000 some per kilogram. Ours is many times that. And the other is the $60 per kilo. Buy it on Alibaba.
Right.
I mean,
right.
but I can slap a label on it and say beta-glucan this.
But it doesn't work.
But it doesn't work.
Right.
So-
That's the whole key. We want stuff that works.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we wanted the science behind it. So the manufacturer in South Korea, we signed an exclusivity contract. We agreed to purchase huge amount over a period of 5 years and continue to grow the product. In exchange, they won't sell it to any other equine producers. So
Right.
then we can share what it is, what the science is, and we can really build on it. But having a product that, really has research and will work is the key to continued success.
The key to Reline.
Yeah.
It's the key to Reline right now. And so, so our viewers are going to want to try to find this product. And is it something that they have to get through Hagyard, or is it going to be in stores?
So we were created by veterinarians. We will sell through any veterinarian,
Right.
and we will sell direct. But you're not going to find us in SmartPack, Walmart, anywhere.
Right.
So it is a premium veterinary product.
Supplement.
Yeah.
that we can.
And our profit margin, it's profitable, but we don't have the margins to go out and sell through Amazon and be able to give everybody a kickback, because these people want 20%, these people want 40%. And to keep the price where we have it, at $200 a gallon, $3 a day, we're selling direct and we're selling to veterinarians because, it's a low margin, high volume type product.
So doing the math, it looks like a gallon's going to last one horse 2 months.
It will.
Yeah, close to 2 months for one gallon. That's pretty reasonable.
I think really reasonable.
That's cheaper than anything.
Your horse is gonna get so much more out of it. His grain, you're gonna save money probably at the end of the day, because the horses are getting so much out of what you're giving them.
So the other benefits to the product are the hyaluronic acid. So as you know, HA has been shown increase mobility, flexion.
Oh, yeah.
We can see it. You can find it in every joint and skin cells throughout the body. So we use a super high weight hyaluronic acid. It's
Tell you the truth, Mark, I want to take it. For me, I think it'll work good on me. Shot glass once a day.
I started taking it.
I knew something was going to come up like that.
So when we started formulating it, I started taking it, and it doesn't hurt anything.
Yeah.
There's also a benefit for the GI system. So it works similar to a prebiotic.
Mm-hmm.
The beta glucans are essentially, there's the bacteria in the cecum of, so once you pass the stomach, you hit the cecum, which is basically the fermentation chamber of the horse.
Right.
So the bacteria there produce an enzyme, they're beta-glucinase, which dissolves beta-glucans into glucose and oligosaccharides, which then feed the intestinal lining and the lactobacilli in your stomach. So one of the reasons why we chose this version specifically was their use for inflammatory bowel disease, so chronic constipation, Crohn's disease in humans is how they sell it orally over there. And essentially it produces more mucus in the intestinal lining, more frequent bowel movements, better nutritional absorption.
We'd like to take a quick break from this episode and acknowledge some of our incredible sponsors. We want to express our deepest gratitude to OBS Sales, More Play Racing, Spurs Chop House, Brookledge Horse Transport, The Green Group Consultants, Advanced Equine Nutrition, Performance Equine Veterinary Care, Equine Innovative Performance Center, Essentra Insurance, and Mid-Florida Credit Union. Their commitment to excellence inspires us every day. Thank you for being the driving force behind this episode of the Leading the Way podcast. For more information on each sponsor, please check out our links in the description of this video.
Moreplay Racing, a rising force in the world of horse racing, born from passion, forged with precision and relentlessness. Moreplay Racing sets the pace in the pursuit of victory. Moreplay Racing isn't just joining the race, we're reshaping it, fueled by the collective strength of our dedicated team. Our commitment to excellence is grounded in our training, strategy, and determination, all with an unmatched frequency. Follow us on our journey at moreplayracing.com.
You know, I I was going to tell our viewers that all these words that he uses are really all the important things, but you just remember one word. Relyne. It's the only word you need to know, and get the product from your local veterinarian. But Mark, bringing this to our industry, I don't know how I even want to say it to you. I want to congratulate you for all the work that's done, because it's something really
so
needed.
important,
So important, and that's
Thank
what
you.
one of our missions is to try to improve the whole industry through a million ways, through health, through all these kind of things. So meeting people like yourself, that takes a lot of time and
passionate about it. It's awesome.
Well, I mean, as a kid, I wanted to be a veterinarian, and you went to vet school, the passion, and I decided to go into the breeding industry, and then fell into the veterinary pharmaceutical industry. But doing stuff like this, I can help more horses
right
with this
Than being a vet.
than I ever could.
Yeah.
I mean,
because you're worldwide now.
Yeah.
my
You
one
can be
little
worldwide.
tweak that I did for this product will help a ton of horses to come.
That you couldn't even reach.
No,
you wouldn't be able to
there's
reach.
no way.
Yeah, I mean, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of them all throughout the world, and hopefully this will become worldwide.
So we have sales now in Great Britain. We're just expanding into Ireland.
That's cool.
I've had inquiries into Norway, Sweden, a lot of those countries, and Australia.
Wow.
So it's going to be a busy year for sure.
So I got the big question then.
Yeah.
Do you have enough of it?
So
Because we got to share this.
the forecast, it was getting the initial supply line going.
Right.
And we got the initial small batch because we were saying we need to get this product launched, give us part of the shipment, and they sent us enough, and we made enough for what was essentially supposed to be 2.5 months supply. And when we released it, we sold everything in 22 days.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I have which should be a 4 or 5 month supply,
That means
scheduled to
it's
arrive in
40 days.
in Tuesday. But come April 15th, I have a monster supply coming, and I've just ordered I mean, the powers that be said, get it, don't run short.
Right.
Basically,
Whatever we
here's
need.
a blank check,
Right.
because you showed that it's going to work, and start it going.
That's great. So if people had, our viewers or listeners, had questions about this, who would they reach, and how would they reach?
Reach out to me.
Right directly to Mark?
And my contact information is on the website, but it's mwhite@hagyard.com.
Yeah.
And I also we have the studies from Dr. Slovis.
It can be sent out.
They're
If they
on the
needed,
website.
They're on there.
Oh, they're on our
Yeah,
website.
that's even
They're on
better.
the website. I have the one-page write-up from Dr. Andrews on the website.
Which I already have that. And
And we have most of the supporting studies. These are all the studies on the beta-glucan specifically, like how it works in wound healing, on the website as well.
I remember when we met up last month or 2 months ago, whenever it was, and you said, well, I'll come and scope your horses. And I said, no need, because about 90% of them have it, so why waste it? Well, let's just do it. Let's just get them on the product on that. Why put the horse through that if we already feel like it can help them? Let's just go to help them.
That is very true. So I will say one thing. Basically, the only products we don't recommend using in conjunction with Relyne are other barrier products. So sucralfate is one that will bind to any sores, and for Relyne to be efficacious, you need it to actually get to
there.
it.
Yeah.
And pectin is another one, which is a physical barrier.
Is that on the website, any of this?
None of those things are going to
So
be on
there'd
the
be
website.
questions directly to you.
So,
If my horse is on something else? Should I stop
As
this?
a supplement, I mean, we can't say a lot of things like that. We can study anything we want to, and I can talk about our studies and our research, but I mean, this is a dietary supplement and not a drug, so we're limited with how much information we can put out there.
Yeah, which is great because now everybody in their backyard, their barns, their training barns, everybody can just go to their veterinarian source and purchase it, or right online.
Yeah.
And purchase this and administer it themselves every day in the feed.
Yep.
So when you said 2 ounces a day, it's 1 ounce in the morning, 1 ounce at night. That's the complete $3 a day?
Correct.
Oh, yeah. That's good. So it's not $3 twice a day.
Nope.
Yep. That's good. Well, they're going to want to know that. Those would be the questions they'd be throwing at you. We might as well answer them right now.
To be honest, administration is the number one question. How much can I give my horse?
Right.
And, I mean, what will work and what is safe? And
most people think, well, they say, 1 ounce twice a day. Well, we might as well give 2 ounces twice a day. Maybe it'll work twice as good. But it won't hurt them.
It's not going to hurt them.
No. Right.
So there comes a point where you're just going to throw away money.
Right. It's only going to do so much.
Yeah, and if you think about it, I mean, cell growth is only going to happen so fast. So combinations where if we can raise the pH of the stomach and increase the wound healing, and then potentially faster.
Right, yeah. And some breeds are faster than others on healing, would you say, in your studies?
In the studies, I mean, not so much, because it's still how much time the cells turn over. Trying to think. Essentially, thoroughbreds are producing more gastric acid, so they might be a little bit slower to respond there.
Right.
When you're dealing with the lower portion of the stomach, in the glandular area, those are slower response.
Right.
So.
Well, I want to tell the viewers, too, there's one thing that probably a lot of people don't realize, that Mark White is also a horseman. He was a horseman first. Well, it means a lot because he understands the animals, too, and what he's experienced going through with some of them, whether they were mares, babies, racehorses, or even stallions.
Yeah, I grew up racing endurance horses, worked at vet clinics since I was 14.
Yeah.
Man, my family was in standardbreds and quarter horses, and yeah, I was in the breeding industry for 10 years in Lexington and showing horses, and you name it, I've done it.
Yeah, well, I think it makes a big difference that when you're not just sitting behind a computer and coming up with numbers, that you've actually experienced this in your own everyday. You've been in horses that weren't healthy, and
you've been in our shoes before.
Yeah.
And well, how a horse responds to certain things, and also what is relevant to the other horse owners. I mean, there's a lot of things out there that people tell you, well, this is going to be the next $1 million thing, and it has absolutely no practical application in the industry. But
I know, and Randy knows through experience, and 30, too many years I want to mention on that, and we know how old we are, that we've fought with horses. This one doesn't want to eat. Why doesn't it eat? Or this one's not doing good. Kind of his coat's not right.
Yeah.
And it all coming from the gut.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So we have been pretty proactive ourselves in trying to find product that will help us get to where we need to get to there. And so we're happy that you come up with this. I'm sure the nation's going to be as well.
The response has been amazing so far, and I anticipate it will continue to grow.
I'd imagine 2 months supply in 22 days is probably...
Yeah, well, we made the price too good.
Yeah. Don't raise it.
The whole idea, we dropped the price from $300 a gallon to $200, but we built a manufacturing warehouse. We switched to a major human-producing GMP manufacturer. So the doctors before were buying everything by the pallet load. and I'm buying everything by the multi-semi load.
Right.
So we're able to buy a better product
Quantity and
from overseas, ship it over. I mean, our raw ingredients are actually more expensive, but our infrastructure, we're doing it correctly as a business. And by doing that and decreasing the price, more people can give the dose that will work on their horse. Because it was kind of, a lot of the calls I get are, my horse, I can't afford to spend this for it.
Right.
But when we put it that way, okay, go ahead and give them that, because the most expensive treatment is the one that doesn't work.
Right.
Yeah.
So if I'm spending $150, but I'm not seeing the results,
and doing that for a long time.
then you're just throwing money away. But go ahead and spend $3, see the results, keep your horse going, and maybe that probiotic or other supplement that you are using, you don't actually need. So you're actually saving money in the long run.
I think Randy said that once their gut starts to work really well, you probably cut their feeds back because they're absorbing so much more.
More. It almost it'll pay for itself.
Yeah, that you'll save on that.
So I will tell you, this beta-glucan is used for nutritional supplements and things like that, in chickens and feed and fish. So overseas, and one of the things that they saw, increased weight gains in growing chickens. So antibiotic resistance with fish hatcheries, because the water solubility, they can put it in there, and then they don't have to put antibiotics in with the fish.
Yeah.
So, but you're right, they're actually processing their feed more efficiently. So that's why they're gaining weight, and you can feed less because they're actually healthy.
Right. To keep their weight at whatever level you need to keep their weight at. There. Yeah. Well, Reline may be a new product, but Hagyard Pharmacy is not.
No.
And Hagyard,
149 years.
there you go.
Really?
So look what's behind the product. This may be something new to the world, but Hagyard's been here serving for a long, long time.
I will tell you, talking with Dr. Fallon, who's the great-great-grandson of Dr. Hagyard's.
Really?
Yeah, and Hagyard's did not get where they are by sitting on the sideline and waiting and seeing. They have always been
Proactive.
on the forefront
Front
of,
runners.
and trying to innovate and be ahead of the curve. And that's what we wanted to do here.
Yeah.
And if you like this, wait till you see what's coming next.
Really? Really? Well, we love it because, it's so important to us. Our horses cannot perform unless they're at 100%, or really 110%, nutritionally and sound. And without bragging, I think our horses are. Because of it.
So,
Looking at them, I'd say so.
So, yeah,
you're doing something right.
Yeah. We feel everything's going in the right direction, but it's, you put it, what you get out is what you put in. There. So, for Relyne, kudos to you, Mark, for really taking this on and taking the product and bringing it back to where it needed to be, and being able to find the products that it needed to have in it. That was probably a hard job in itself. So kudos to you for that. So we have a new product out, and it's exciting. That's what we're all excited to see.
So thank you guys so much. It's going to be a whole lot of fun.
So if you have a horse that you feel like you need to use Relyne, you know where to get it, at your veterinary supply or direct through Hagyard. And Mark will answer any questions to anybody who wants to email or give him a call, all on the website. Here we are again at OBS Sales on a beautiful March afternoon on Sunday, ready to get fired up for a horse sale that has probably been drinking Relyne.
I love it. Dean, Randy, thank you guys so much.
You're welcome. Thank you, Mark. I'd like to take a moment and thank today's sponsor, Hagyard Pharmacy. If your horse is struggling from ulcers from time to time, they've got some good news for you. RelyneGI by Hagyard has a new and improved formula, and scientific studies show that it definitely improves gut health. So what's new about RelyneGI? It's made with a new beta-glucan that stimulates the immune system to work on targeted areas of horse's stomach. Plus, there's also a new price that can save you nearly $100 a gallon. Visit resolvet.com, RESOLVET.com, to learn more about the new RelyneGI. A link will be in the description of this video.